till the next Sunday, hoping that we'd have enough money to come in to cover them. So I don't know if y'all realize just how tight we've been with that from time to time, but it gets very, very tight, and it's something that we have to be very careful about all the time. That is something that we would be wise about not getting into that position, at the same time freeing up money to do ministry work.
Is there any conflict of interest with the attorney and members of the staff at the other church?
None that I'm aware of. Do you have any? No.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Paul's brother is on staff as as the music minister there.
I'll talk to him about that.
I just was curious
if there was some issues there, he would bring it up to me, I'm sure.
I figured so. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yes.
What their church body feels about this proposal?
The question is, have we got any feedback from their church as a result of their announcement?
They announced it the same day we announced it here, whatever that was, back a couple of weeks ago, and it was very, very positive. There was a round of applause. They're excited about the prospects, and of course, I haven't heard anything on the street from any of their people, but the reaction from the church was very positive the morning that they made the announcement.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
I have a two-part question, Eddie. How long, what kind of a time frame are we looking at that we would have to use this building with them, you know, as far as the equity that we would have? How long would it take to spend that? You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
To share the building. And my second part of my question is there any plans for us to have a savings program for a building or purchase of another property so that we could eventually have our own place and our own identity?
The first question is, again, was, let me go to the second one. He asked specifically, would we lose our identity or the fact that we don't have a building? And really the thought behind this that we see as the real positive is the fact that we will remain a church. Mr. Jones is going to make sure of that, trust me. First thing he says every meeting is, if my church family doesn't stay together, we're not doing it as far as he's concerned. We agree with that. The idea, though, is really to get away from the idea that we have to have brick and mortar to be a church, that we want to be a church that uses as minimal amount of money on such issues as that, using whether we end up leasing property or doing something different, but spending the money that we've put into this building here, realizing how much that really could have been put into God's work, has really opened our eyes to the fact that a lot of money has gone under the bridge here without ministry, or a limited amount of ministry. I won't say that it's not been positive. Some of it's been positive. But really, you think about what you can do with that $300,000 a year over and above just having a meeting place. And that's our thinking. We don't want to lose that identity. Remind me again the first part of your question. Oh, the lease. Right now, we really haven't nailed that down with them. The one I've presented to them actually ties into the lease with the property up the hill. And we've got some 50-some years left with it. So we had a very long-term lease. If they decided to ride the complete thing out, there's many of us here who wouldn't see the end of that lease. But at the same time, we don't want to be to the point to where, say, 10 years down the road, where the thing has got amortized down to $1.8 million or something like that, that we don't have alternative plans. We need to have alternative plans. If they get to that point to where they're ready to walk away from it, we discussed this in an elders meeting tonight. What if after a year or two, they're saying, all right, we've got the money for you, here's your money, go. What do we do? And so, of course, at $2.3 million in our pocket, we have a lot of choices. But not one of those doesn't plan to be at this point. Who knows what will happen, is to buy and build. Our goal is not to put the money back into property and buildings, is to put it into ministry. So that's the thinking. There's awfully a lot of changes that can come as a result of things just changing over the period of time. But right now, that's the thought and direction we want to go. If I'm on target with you guys on this? Y'all agree? Okay. Make sure I'm not just talking for myself. Okay.
And I might just add, because it is something in my mind as well about identity, is a transformation from we are where we are to our identity based in what we do. We are what we do. And hopefully $300,000 a year, it blows my mind what we could do with that. And I think our biggest problem would be other people from other churches coming and us get a reputation for stealing people from other congregations, because it's going to be nothing for someone to come on a Sunday afternoon, a time their church is not meeting. Our fellowship hour would be probably the biggest outreach time of the church. You come, you have a meal, you have fellowship with other people, and other people are going to come and say, look, this is the type of ministry I want to be in. Look at where this money is going. I want my resources, my finances to go to these type of things. And our big problem is going to be a relationship with other churches of stealing other people from them, I think. And so that's, to me, that was one of the biggest problems. I see this, of course, I'm young. I see this as being a really positive thing, a change of identity from where we are, from a name, from a building, to what we do. We do missions. We do the work of the Lord. So not to say everybody else is not doing it, but I think it is a mindset change. This is our identity is based in what we do, not a location anymore.
No, at this point, it's an agreement with us that we will use that up in use of this building. So that's the direction we've gone thus far. So there's nothing in there that says if we walk away from it, we get anything. If they choose to ask us to walk away, that's when the money comes in. All right, then if that, we'll close this part of the meeting. And please remember, write stuff down if you have anything. If you want me to speak to you personally, you can give me a call at home. Any of these guys the same way. We'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Also to be encouraged to share any ideas you have with the rest of the church. Thanks.